Joining me right now here with reaction, we have Adam Johnson, author of Bullseye Brief, founder of it, GOP GPS author Evan Siegfried, Fox News contributor Steve Cortes, and Latino Victory Fund president Cristobal Alex. Steve, your thoughts on what you just heard there from President Trump? It was a long one.
It was. If I were to give any criticism, I would say maybe shorten it a tad, Mr. President. However, I don't have much criticism, Trish. Yeah, maybe a little bit. But no, listen, you know what? I really believe this. This is the president at his very best. I love it when he gets out of the swamp, when he gets out of the Beltway. He has never been accepted by the intelligentsia, by the elites, whether it's New York newsrooms or whether it's K Street lobbyists. They have rejected him from the beginning. Who has not rejected him and who has embraced him are the American workers around this country who have been neglected, who have not prospered during this terrible, slow economic malaise that we've been in for the last decade. So I love it when he gets out there, speaks directly from the heart to those people. It's a pep rally of sorts, and a pep rally, frankly, that we need in this country. We need to believe again. We've been divided for far too long by identity politics, by slow growth. We need this kind of message. So I was heartened by what he did tonight.
Yeah, you know, this is who he is at these rallies. You know, he's talking extemporaneously. He doesn't use the prompter. He uses it for some things. But Adam, he just kind of talks off the cuff, and sometimes, you know, something just comes into his head.
Oh, there was
and
a
this
lot
is what makes his staff a little nervous.
Right.
But he did stay on message. I mean, did you hear anything there tonight that would have gotten him in trouble?
Absolutely none. And as a matter of fact, what I really take a great deal of heart in is the fact that not only did he say we believe in one nation under God. Thank you, President Trump, for saying that, because yes, we do. I also applaud the president tonight, Trish, for saying he explicitly condemns neo-Nazis, white supremacists, and the KKK. Something that we needed to hear. We heard it. These weren't just idle words. He said it over and over. These weren't just idle words. This is someone who really believes it. He also talks about jobs. Yes, we can talk about making America great again, but he really talked in very real terms. I loved what I heard tonight, Trish.
Evan, you have been, well, a little bit of a critic of this president throughout. What's your reaction to what you heard? I mean, very different tone, right, than what we heard last night, but it was a different setting.
Listen, for his base, this is what he needed to do. It gets them excited at a time where they need excitement. And it's the same thing for President Trump, because he does feed off of that. But I come out with the question of how did this help get tax reform passed? His base, if he can weaponize and activate them to help put pressure on Congress to pass tax reform,
but doesn't
that
this
helps.
help? I mean, when you're out there talking to thousands of people and you're all over television and you're giving a message of economic unity, doesn't that lead, hopefully, eventually to tax reform?
You can get them excited about an idea, but if you want them to help, you have to tell them how to help, and he didn't do that. The other thing that was interesting was that he signaled something completely new. He signaled his willingness to shut down the United States government if he does not get funding for the wall. So that's something that many congressional Republicans have said is not a
well, maybe
starter.
you need to play hardball in this, because right now it feels like there has been such a distraction going on, Steve Cortes, and I'm going to get to you in just a moment, Cristobal, but there's been such a distraction going on, and certainly we're looking at it there in the streets of Phoenix, where you have thousands of protesters, and this comes on the heels of Charlottesville, and I keep making the point that I think it's a very dangerous and a destructive thing for the left to do, to try and manipulate a narrative to say that somehow everyone on the right is racist. You are Hispanic yourself. You have been a Trump supporter. You know, as we move forward and we try and get some of these policy things achieved, are they trying to use this just to stand in the way of his agenda?
Trish, of course they are. The Democratic Party is in secular decline in this country. They not only lost the White House, they not only don't control the Congress, they've lost almost 1,000 state legislator seats during the Obama tenure. So what is their response? Rather than in any semblance of self-reflection or self-awareness, the response is, well, we must be losing because of racists. And I will tell you this, you're exactly right. As an Hispanic, as a son of an immigrant, I find that deeply offensive. Because you know what? Hispanic households right now in America, the wealth gap between Hispanic households and white households is widening. It's not narrowing. It widened throughout the Obama presidency. We are not doing it right when it comes to the prosperity and power and empowerment of Hispanic and minority households. We need a better path forward. And Donald Trump, instead of playing identity politics, wants to produce growth for all Americans of all colors.
You know, the government should be there to help those who can help themselves. There needs to be sort of a better programs in place to reward those that want to work, those that want to move forward, that want to take opportunities. You know, Cristobal.
Well, and that's, by the way, lower taxes, Trish.
Oh, you're preaching to the choir on that one, buddy. Cristobal, let me go to you for a moment, because you are not a supporter of this president. You are on the left. You don't like what he's doing. But you also are the son of immigrants, much like Steve Cortes. So tell me your reaction here to what you heard.
Well, you'll be surprised to know that I thought the speech was a total disaster.
I'll be surprised to know, right?
It was long. He lost me at Sheriff Joe Arpaio. It's outrageous at a moment where just a week ago we had a national tragedy. Last night a major speech on Afghanistan and the war, and a moment tonight where he should have brought the country together and unified the country. Yeah. He wraps his arms around Sheriff Joe Arpaio, who's public
but
enemy
that was
actually give him
okay, but forgive me, Cristobal, that was just one moment in a admittedly rambling long speech. I agree with you on that front.
Many notes on many of the moments.
But the overwhelming message that he kept saying is, again, we are one nation under God. When one American suffers, we all suffer. This was a speech about unity. How can you not agree with that?
Well, because I don't. He started off talking about unity. He started off trying to play the victim. Oh, look at me. I have a number of speeches that I'm going to bring out tonight and rehash and reread and talk about the KKK.
It's a rally.
And the racists.
Those are his peeps, though. He's talking to them. They came there to see him.
I get
They came there to hear him.
It's a speech to the base.
And he needed to give his side of things. I mean, and he did it in his very approachable way. This is the candidate he was, and the person they sent to the White House.
I don't disagree with you. I think this was a campaign speech to the base. It was not a presidential speech. It wasn't a speech that was designed to bring the country together. It was a speech that is the first speech for this presidential re-election
in a second. Aren't Democrats actually secretly celebrating this because it helps them politically? They must be jumping for joy because they can then turn around and say, look, see, Trump's a racist. They've been going out, and we've gone on a very slippery slope because of what happened with last Tuesday with the Charlottesville press conference. But they've been going on the slippery slope saying every Republican is a racist. The former chairman of your party, Howard Dean, is saying if you vote for a Republican, you are a racist, and that Republicans are the party of racism. That is an absolute fallacy, and I'd love to see Democrats stand up and do that.
Can you do that? I mean, I'll challenge you now.
It's clear that all Republicans are not racist. That's obvious. But it's also clear that this is a president who started his campaign on the very first day by attacking Latinos, calling us rapists, calling us thieves. Of course, he went on to attack women and other communities of color and Muslims and people with disabilities. So he's not a uniter.
Wait a second, Cristobal. I remember that speech all so well. And he said, look, Mexico's not sending their best people. I mean, if you look at the statistics, and I was saying this earlier in the show, unfortunately, I mean, I was very sad to see them. I went through about 200 pages of an ICE report that was showing all the people that basically they had to let go of because of sanctuary cities, and it showed what their crime was, in many cases a very heinous crime, and it showed where they were from. And I deliberately went through and looked at each country because I don't want to think that we're seeing all these criminals come here and do bad things. But I thought to myself after seeing that report, gosh, I mean, the statistics, they're not on your side.
Well, let me just be very clear. Immigrants commit fewer crimes than native-born citizens. If you look at sanctuary cities, the most in-depth report on sanctuary cities shows that they're actually safer than non-sanctuary cities, and the economy is doing better.
This is what I keep going back to, and Steve, you should weigh in on this too, because I keep saying, well, we just open our borders and say, come on in, everybody, why not?
Not saying that.